It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. We're going to get into a very meaty and I think quite an interesting discussion right now, and I'm going to ask you to really think critically about this one. Traditional gender roles that limited men to the role of provider and women to the role of nurturer are being challenged in today's society, thankfully. Now, what does this shift symbolize for you? I'd love to know. Registered counsellor Shanaz Moos and educational psychologist Dr. Sharon Aitken now join us for this one. This is a nice one because it's not terrifying to broach, because so often I feel like I'm putting you on the spot when I welcome you to this couch, because this does speak to so many people right now, but to a bigger trend. We are seeing a shift in that balance, or maybe we're just a bit more aware of it. So it's a difficult one to know where to start. Shanaz, maybe I can start with you. When you look at the gender role shift, what does that mean for you? When you try to understand why we are seeing the shift, yes, we see it manifest, but why do you think this is happening?
Yeah, the stereotypical gender roles were the mother stayed at home and the father went off to work. Oh. Right, like provider, almost like hunter-gatherer, me hunt. But the thing is that the economy has changed and both parents work, or there are single-parent households, or there are same-sex couples where you can't apply the same rules anymore. So that's been the shift but workplaces haven't caught up to what's going on. So they're still thinking 1950s, which is where a lot of the struggles come for parents today.
I hate to say it, I think workplaces are still thinking 2019 right now. They're like, how are we going to get people back into the office? Is there even a workplace left? No, 100%, because this has almost exacerbated this notion of like, I'll get what I actually need to make my life work. Systems are there to support, not to panel beat us into a different shape so that we can support the system. So you would think that there would be a natural progression. Why do you think it's so hot right now in this battle to figure out the roles between men and women within the workspace, within the home space, the emotional quotient? Why do you think this has become such a diverse, big, hot topic right now?
It is interesting because when I went online and had a look at the statistics, actually, since the 1980s, I think only 8% more men are staying at home dads. So it's not as if there's been a huge shift yet.
It's not just money that's driving this.
Yeah, there's been a huge shift in the awareness of gender roles, and that each parent has their own skill set, and the dad might be the one who's actually the better caretaker, and the mom might have the better qualifications to go on and get the job.
She can earn more money.
Well, the women at the moment are outperforming the men on graduation with degrees, way outperforming them. And so more of them are being drawn into the business world, into the world of work. And there's plenty of men who are deciding it's really cool to stay at home and look after the kids. And they've got the skill set.
Well, this is the thing, and we're realising, I'm realising more and more often, it's the transferable nature of these skills that's the most interesting part of what's going on today. And generally, if you're good at anything, it's because you're good in a particular way, regardless of how that plays out, where your career is, what kind of career you've got going on. I love the fact that we're moving towards an outcomes-based parenting model on getting the best out of our parents. That means we're getting the best out of our children. What does this mean for a child when we start to rethink these gender roles? How do you think this is going to imprint moving forward for the kids who get to benefit from a shift now?
I think that it's important because childcare was always left mostly to women. So what happens is kids are raised thinking that my mom takes care of me. When we shift and we have we try to have equal responsibility, kids are seeing, I can do this, I can do that. I can cook, I can clean, not boys do this, girls do that. So the shift is also that shared responsibilities in the household are not gender specific. And the input that dads give is so vital. So if men are stepping up more and stepping into the parenting role, it's such a value add. Because you often hear they'll say, my husband is taking care of the kids. No, he's parenting. He's not taking care of anything. And if he goes out with the kids or goes shopping, high fives in the aisle, everybody's like he's a hero.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, no, and it is, I'll just say that for all the dads out there, not that we're the most disenfranchised group in the world right now, but it is hugely insulting to have someone give you a high five for parenting at the baseline. I absolutely get that. There's an opportunity then for us to do things differently. How does that conversation look when we sit down as parents starting to rethink those traditional roles and how we can best get the best out of ourselves? How does that look?
I always think, I deal a lot with parents. I mean, like for 30 years I've been dealing with parents.
Crying,
and
yeah.
I've seen the ones that are doing really well, and I've seen the ones that are really not doing well. And I think there's two main things for me. The parents need to know what their own strengths and weaknesses are, and those in their partner, so they can back each other up, and where necessary, access their social network systems to support them. Yeah, and then the other one is to be very aware of the developmental stages of the child, and that's where I find that even with really good parenting, then everybody seems to focus on the toddler years, and they're really jacked up with educating and understanding what's happening. But the moment they get to school, grade 1, the parents stop reading.
You tap out,
Yeah, and then there's not enough learning going on. So
of course, teachers are going to take care of the learning now for the next 12 years. Isn't that how it works? Why?
And they're not looking at the
EQ.
the EQ, the communication skills, expectations, what's normal, what's not normal. So I think those things for me are really important.
You know, the crazy thing is in my world where I get to plug into kind of these, they call it the C-level discussions, the CEOs having these talks, it's no longer about business systems or OND and all these crazy terms and acronyms. It's about living in the moment, accessing emotions in the moment, it's all of these things that traditionally would be feminine roles within an organization are now front and center. And at home, maybe you need a bit more tough. Maybe the traditional so-called male roles are what's needed there. You need to step out your lane for just 5 minutes and take a look at yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, and how you can balance each other out. We're going to continue this discussion in just a moment.